Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tom, and today I'm going to be reviewing uh, the latest set from Magic the Gathering, Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths. Now, quick note before the video actually starts. Um, A, I do not claim to be good in any metric of the game, and these are just my objective opinions. So if you do have a problem with them, uh, my word isn't law. B, I am not going to be doing this too often. I'll just be doing it occasionally, and uh, and specifically for this video, I'm only be going to be doing the actual set, not the commander precons that come with this set. Even though I love them, I absolutely love them. We're just going to be talking about the 274 cards in this set. So let's get right into it. Alright, first thing you might see on the screen is that we have some interesting looking creatures. These are colorless, non-artifact, non-Eldrazi creatures, the first of their kind, and I think this sets a very nice precedent. Not all creatures have to be color aligned, and while I don't want this to take over all of Magic, I do I have to admit it's pretty neat. But moving on, reading some of these, you may think to yourself, "Hey, uh, there are some mechanics that I don't really understand." Uh, and what I have to say to that is, yes, there are. And now I'm gonna go through them for you. Yeah. Okay. But first up, which is the signature mechanic of the set, featured on Cub Warden, because it was the first one I saw with the ability, is Mutate. Now, you can cast these spells for their Mutate cost, and if you do so, you can put it on top of or under a non-human creature card. Because of this, they kind of merge with all attributes of the top card being in effect and all things that are in the text box of the bottom card also being on the top card. Let me give an example. So, for instance, let's say I have Cub Warden in my hand and I I cast it for its mutate cost onto this imposing Vantasaur. Now, usually, uh, this would just become. Usually, this is just. Now, what? Okay. Now, if I put imposing Vantasaur on top, it will be the total the entire creature that is created through this process will be a 3/6 white dinosaur with the vigilance and cycling, although that doesn't really matter. Uh, that also has lifelink, and whenever this creature mutates, create 2/1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. Now, uh, one thing to keep of note is that it's usually better to mutate uh, the creature on top that has the higher power and toughness. So, so uh, but that's not always the case for reasons. Uh, What mutate does is, if you cast this spell for its mutate cost, you may put it over or under target non-human creature you own. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities under it. Now, what this means is that if Cub Warden was to mutate onto as an example, onto a Helica Glider, it could either go on top or below it. If it goes on top, it would have this text as well as its original text, and it would keep its power and toughness. However, if it goes on bottom, it would have the power and toughness of this Helica Glider, 2/2, and the creature types and name and colors. Only what's in this text box right here is what gets transferred. Now, this is a little bit of a difficult mechanic to wrap your head around, but once you do understand it, you're able to think of very many ways that you can abuse it. For instance, one such way that you could use this ability is by combining two abilities that work synergistically together to make an ability that ultimately, if you will pardon my derivative language, wrecks shop. For instance, perhaps I could mutate this Sea Dasher Octopus under an evasive creature that has flying or menace, and it would be easier to draw a card off of its ability. Very nice. One of the other mechanics in Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths, is the addition of keyword counters. Now, these are pretty self-explanatory. They, basically what these counters do when on a creature is it gives the creature the keyword that it is named after. It's very simple. Also a very abusable system. It is very easy in this set to get, say, something with First Strike and Death Touch, or Trample and Death Touch. Alright, next up we have an older mechanic, Cycling, which basically you pay the cycling cost, discard the card with Cycling, and draw a card. Now, this is very strange, but it is ultimately a very good mechanic, in the fact that you can just pitch cards from your hand that aren't useful to you at this moment in time. Say, I don't have that many creatures out, and I can't make use of coordinated charge. I can just pay 2, throw it away, and I get a brand new card, one that I might be able to use. One of the other things that is prevalent in this set is tribal synergies, which it might not look like at first, but deeper beneath the surface, you'll see some partial tribal synergies. There are many tribes within this, and there's some I want to go over. Aptly described in the accompanying novel are the idea of clades. Basically, basically the dominant sort of species of a monster on Ikoria. Now, there are 5 of these clades. There is Cat, Elemental, Nightmare, Dinosaur, and Beast. Now, while all of these are different, you will see that there are some creatures that share these clade types. For instance, Frostlynx is an elemental cat, and so it fits into technically both clades. However, one of the most tribalistic synergies in this set is actually human. And this may seem strange to some at first, but when you think about it a little deeper, it actually starts to make sense. See, um, what mutate says is that you can only target a non-human creature that you own. So this means that you're not going to be running too many creatures that are human in your decks. Uh, because of this, the humans that are in this set have many synergies with other humans, and so dominant mostly in red, white, and black. The humans will make tokens of each other. They will pump each other. They'll do all of this kind of stuff and tend to just run a really aggressive strategy. Let me see if I can find another. One instance of such a tribal synergy is General's Enforcer, an uncommon card that is black and white. It reads, legendary humans you control have indestructible. It also says you can pay 2, a white, and a black to exile target card from your graveyard. If it was a creature, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Now, obviously, it directly benefits legendary humans as per its first ability, making them indestructible. But more importantly, it gives you more humans to work with, letting you go wider with them, and ultimately giving you just more creatures to attack and block with them. Now, while there are these seemingly clashing ideologies, there is actually a third tribe, as you could call it. And the reason I put tribe in air quotes is because it's very strange. It is non-human and human. And you may be thinking to yourself, hey, Tom, that is just all creature types. And you're correct. But what I'm specifically talking about is the cards that benefit you for having a human and a non-human out on the battlefield at the same time. One such example of this, example of support for this, is Winota, Joiner of Forces. What she does is whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, you look at the top 6 cards of your library and you may put a human creature card from among them onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking, giving it indestructible until the end of the turn. Now, while at first this seems very strange, forcing you to have to build your deck around humans and also non-humans and trying to get a near equal balance, it's very it works very well, and I really like seeing this kind of merging of tribal synergies. As we've saw before, there's also a little bit of that with Frost Links, and that's also fine, but you don't really see non blank combined with whatever you put in that blank. But that's just a little thing. One thing that should be covered also is the apexes, and whew, that's all I can really say. Basically what the apexes are is they are these alpha predators of their kind, and each of them embodies a 3-color combination. Now, as we see with Nethroi, Apex of Death, it is 2 generic and then white, black, green. Now, all of these Apexes have mutate, a mutate ability, and a mythos, which is an instant or sorcery. It might actually just be instant. I'll edit some text in if I'm wrong, but an instant or sorcery that is in one color and gives you benefits if you are playing the other 2 colors in that combination, known as a wedge, for those who don't know. But they also have an uncommon sorcery that kind of benefits them. Now, these aren't very good, but just from a lore perspective, they're neat. That's all I have to say about this little cycle of spells. Now, we're approaching the last of the kind of pros in the set, and just before we do encounter the cons, I just wish to say that when talking about the cons, this is going to get a little polarizing. So just bear with me when we do eventually get to that part. And thank you for still watching me and my beautiful face. Okay, so these are just some minor pros. Some cards I just generally like. One of which is Avian Oddity. It's just a bird. A big old bird. It now there is a cycle based on this card, not based on this card specifically, but in each color there is a creature that has a keyword and then also can be cycled to gift that keyword using a counter to another creature. And this makes for some really interesting things. As I mentioned before, one of which is Trample Death Touch, which but I won't stay on that too long. A card that I like much more than that, though, is the card Shark Typhoon, based solely off of the movie Sharknado. Yes, that one. Now, this is just wild in of itself, just the art. But it's also an amazingly good card. It has, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. It also has cycling X1 blue, which weird. But when you do cycle Shark Typhoon, if you need to pitch it for any reason, you can create an XX blue shark creature token with flying. So you get sharks either way. It's amazing. I love it. I love sharks. I love Sharknado. It's amazing. Some other cards I really like. Gloom Pangolin. Really like it. It's just a glowing pangolin. Not much more to say. We also have been given Flame Spill, which is a damage-dealing instant that essentially has trample, dealing excess damage that would be dealt to a creature to its controller instead. Marvelous. Now, just before we end the pros, I'm going to go over the Planeswalkers. First, we have a brand new Planeswalker, part of the story. Um, his name is Luca. He is a mono red planeswalker so far, and he has a lot of creature synergies, and a lot of kind of. Let me just go through his abilities real quick. His first ability, which is +1, exile the top 3 cards of your library. Creature cards exiled this way gain. You may cast this card from exile as long as you control a Luca planeswalker. Now, this is really just straight card advantage, kind of modifying the red sort of spin on drawing cards in a way that makes it just really good. I really like this first ability. It's pure card advantage, and just love it. Two is -2 is a polymorph effect, but only for you. So let's say you have a wimpy 1/1, a 1/1 creature token, not doing much. You can exile it, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card with higher converted mana cost. You put it onto the battlefield, not into your hand, onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So you essentially just upgrade monsters, upgrade creatures. Beautiful. And then his ultimate, -7. Each creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Oh, yes. I love this. Luca is going to be very good in creature-based EDH decks. I feel that he could do very good in decks such as Nikia, which prevents you from playing other, which prevents you from playing non-creature cards, which is a little bit of a non-bow, but I think it's worth it. But that's just one planeswalker. Our next planeswalker is a returning face, and so is the one after that. Vivian, Monsters Advocate. Now, this is a little bit of a weird card because rather than having 3 activated abilities, this is the first mythic rare with a static ability, and with 1 static ability, or I guess it's 2. I don't know. All I'm gonna say is that this sets a new precedent for planeswalkers, and I'm loving it. Basically, you can look at the top card of your library at any time and may cast creature spells from the top card of your library. Which, yep, creatures. This is a pretty creature-heavy set. Understand. But her activated abilities are +1, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. Put your choice of a vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter onto it. And -2, when you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser conversion mana cost, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Now, this is a little bit of a foil to Luca's second ability, if you remember, as not only is it searching for a creature card with lesser converted mana cost instead of greater, but it also is keeping your creatures. So that's nice. I like what they did there. It's very symmetrical. But our final planeswalker that we're going to talk about is actually 3 colors, which for standard sets is usually not very good, but I'm gonna ask that you kind of just because I love this planeswalker. I love her so much. Narset of the Ancient Way. Um, Now we first saw Narset. This is a little bit of a story background. Narset on Tarkir, and she was originally the Khan of the Jeskai clan. However, when another character went back in time and switched things around, made all the dragons in charge, she was still in a pretty high position. Um, but she had lost this little red aspect to her. And I just have to say, I'm so glad that she is red again. I'm very glad that she is red again. I, for lack of a better word, I vibe a lot with this particular planeswalker that I'm probably cutting off partially by my webcam. Sorry about that. Um, but let's go through her abilities. Her +1, you gain 2 life. Automatically pretty good. Add blue, red, or white. Spend this mana only to cast a non-creature spell. Non-creature spells. That's a little weird in this set, but I dig it, especially since her clan was originally very big on non-creature spells. -2, draw a card, then you may discard a card. When you discard a non-land card this way, Narset deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to target creature or planeswalker. It's kind of going with the whole cycling thing. Um, uh, it's very good that if you draw a card, then you discard a card, you could draw something with a very high mana cost, and then uh, you're not really wasting it, you're rather repurposing it. And -6, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this emblem deals 2 damage to any target. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's wonderful. Yeah, those are all the planeswalkers. And now we have to move on to the bad stuff. Now, I was trying not to show off this particular section, which has hybrid mana costs. And the reason for that is because there is a 10 card cycle in Ikoria that has Companion. Companion is another new mechanic that I didn't talk about before, and basically what it does is if your deck meets the deck building restrictions that it sets forth, you may have one of these companions as your companion, and it starts the game outside of the game, and you may cast it at any time, or any time you would normally cast it. And this is the kind of polarizing part I was trying to avoid. Obviously we have some really neat card designs. We have Gyruda, a Demon Kraken, that's awesome, an Elemental Elk, Gigantha, amazing. Kahira, the Orphan Guard. I'd really like the flavor on this one. Karuga, the Macro Sage, a Dinosaur Hippo. I love all of these designs. I love all of these like little creature combinations. But, and I hate to say this, I really hate to say this, a lot of people just don't like any of this. Just none of this. Having an extra card that you can cast at any time. Some of the main complaints are that's too powerful an effect, which maybe. it's turning the game into Commander, which I I would argue with, and some of these companions are dumb, which I very completely agree with, but I I really like all of these kind of creatures. I like we've got a Hellion horror. Who would have thought of that? I certainly would have. I'm not creative at all. But it all of this is just very very good. Um and there's been a lot of brewing with these cards in constructed formats, some eternal formats, and a lot of people say that they are broken. I don't know if they're. I I can't give an accurate opinion because I don't really know what I'm talking about, or I'm just not good at the game. I do recognize that some of these are really good. I understand that. But at the same time, I feel that this has just opened so many new design doors. And I think that it would be worth trying to find a way to make this kind of mechanic ability stick around. Um, Now some of you aren't gonna like that at all. You're not gonna like that whatsoever, and I completely understand. But it's my honest thoughts on companions and what to do about them. I don't think I don't really think that things should that these are like like and obviously some of these are better than others. Uh, like uh, Luris, a lot of people are using Luris in Vintage, and it seems to be a very powerful card in that kind of format. Same could not be said for Kahira, which does a lot of tribal stuff, and it's it just kind of sucks that such an interesting concept for a mechanic it, that it's just so toxic. I don't want to say that word, but it kind of is, and it kind of sucks. But that's the first con. The second con that I want to mention is that this set is violently complex. It's very complex. It's a complex set, and newer players are new players are going to have a difficult time understanding this set. Now, not to say that I don't like the set or that I dislike what they're doing, but this is a little bit kind of overwhelming. Like, like, say you didn't know what mutate was. Obviously, all mutates have this reminder text, but maybe you're still confused on what happens, and there are some kind of weird rules interactions that can kind of mess you up. So, um, uh, for newer players trying this set out, um, I my advice is uh, try and maybe try some casual play with this set first before going to a draft event or 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 like play on arena first or something. um you're not it's not like this set is very complex, and I know the designers, that's what the designers were aiming for. um my one fear with this set is just kind of like it, it might keep players some potential players that are saying, "Oh, I can't learn magic. It's too rules heavy." It might keep them saying that, and I would understand why, especially with sets like this. Um, yeah. But other than that, yeah, this is all my notes. Uh, if I had to give Ikoria a rating from, well, let's say story wise, I think, or flavor wise, this gets an absolute 10 in my book. This is just incredible. Um, I love it. Like you have all of these different unique creatures. Like it's wonderful. And but at the same time, it's a little overwhelming. And for mechanics, I have to give this 6.5, I think. I think that's fair. Just because of companions and just how difficult it will be to kind of grok, mutate, and keyword counters. Um, Keyword counters is a little easier, but still, it's yeah. But yeah, um, this is gonna be the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching through all all of my incoherent ramblings. Uh, I'm very glad. If you liked this video, please drop a like. Please leave a comment that you liked this. Please subscribe so I can make more amazing, delicious content for you. Um, and I, maybe put your opinions on companions in the comments, as long as they're not going to say that like bad thing, like mean, hurtful things to my psyche. But yeah, thank you so much. Uh, Thank you for subscribing, thank you for liking, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.